The leather chair squeaked as James leaned back, looking confident in his perfect suit. "Emily, you have to understand," he said, pretending to care. "Handling this kind of money takes experience, something you don't have." I sat across from him in his home office, hiding my shaking hands in my lap. Papers from my grandmother's estate were spread across his large desk, $12 million in property, investments, and cash, and James wanted it all. I'm Emily Chin, I'm 42 years old, and after 15 years of marriage, I was watching my husband try to take control of my inheritance. The same man who had slowly made me doubt myself over the years was now showing me who he really was. "I've already talked to our lawyer," James said, fixing his tie. "The power of attorney papers are ready. Once you sign, I'll take care of everything. You won't have to worry about a thing." His tone was so patronizing it made me sick. Over the years, he had always controlled things, criticizing how I spent money, saying I didn't need to work, telling me I wasn't good at making decisions. Bit by bit, he chipped away at my confidence. But what James didn't know was that I wasn't the same woman he married. My grandmother's passing had opened my eyes. She had left me a letter with the inheritance. "My dear Emily, with this gift comes great responsibility and opportunity. Trust yourself, you are stronger and smarter than they've made you believe." That letter changed everything. I met with a financial advisor named Sarah Chin, no relation, someone my grandmother trusted. I told James the first was going to yoga. Instead, I was meeting Sarah every week, learning about managing money, making plans, and preparing. Sarah told me, "Your grandmother built this fortune from nothing. She chose you to carry on her legacy, not James, not anyone else." So while James thought he was taking control, I was getting ready behind the scenes. I met with my own lawyer, opened a new bank account, and kept records of James's manipulative behavior. I even found out James had been trying to figure out how to access the inheritance before my grandmother's will was even read. Now, sitting in his office, hearing him act like everything was already decided, I felt strangely calm. The fear I once felt was gone, replaced by clarity. "Are you listening?" James snapped. "We need to sign these papers before the estate is finalized." I looked him in the eye and said, "You want power of attorney over my inheritance?" He smiled. "Exactly. I just want what's best for us." What he didn't know was that I'd already protected the inheritance with a trust. He couldn't touch it without my permission, and that wasn't all. "You seem distracted," James said. "Is everything okay?" "I'm fine," I said, standing up. "I just need time to think. This is a big decision." He walked over and put his hands on my shoulders. I used to find comfort in his touch. Now it made my skin crawl. "Don't overthink it, honey," he said. "I'll handle everything." That night, he slept peacefully next to me. I lay awake, knowing that soon, everything would change. I was ready. The next morning, I heard James on the phone in his office. "Yes, she'll sign this week," he said. "No, she doesn't suspect a thing. Trust me, I know how to handle her." I felt angry, but more than that, I felt determined. I recorded the call on my phone and added it to the growing file of evidence. Later, I met Sarah at a cafe. James thought I was at my book club. "Everything's ready," Sarah said, handing me a folder. "Are you sure about this?" I opened the folder. It had all the proof, documents, transfers, recordings. "I'm sure," I said. He gave me no other choice. Sarah nodded. "The meeting with the lawyers is tomorrow. He still thinks it's just routine." "Yes," I said. "He has no idea what's coming." That night, James was extra nice. He ordered food from my favorite restaurant, poured wine, and acted loving. It was all part of his plan to soften me up. "After all this is settled, let's go to Europe," he said. I smiled. "That sounds lovely." He took my hand across the table. "I know it's been stressful, but after tomorrow, I'll take care of it all." I squeezed his hand gently. "You're right, everything will be different after tomorrow." Before bed, he followed his usual routine, checking his phone, laying out his clothes, making sure everything was perfect. James always needed control. "Big day tomorrow," he said. "Get some rest." I lay there in the dark, thinking about the past 15 years, the way he isolated me, discouraged me, and controlled everything. But I also thought about my grandmother, strong, wise, and quietly preparing me for this moment. She once told me, "True strength isn't about having power over others, it's about having power over yourself." and I finally understood what she meant. Power over yourself. Tomorrow, James would finally see what that really meant. The next morning was bright and sunny. I watched James carefully put on his silk tie and adjust his shirt cuffs. Every move he made was neat and controlled, just like how he liked everything in life. Wear something more professional, he said, frowning at my simple outfit. Even if it's just a signing, first impressions matter. I nodded, hiding my smile. He thought today was going to be simple. While he finished getting ready, I changed into a fitted navy suit, one my grandmother had helped me pick out months ago. Every warrior needs the right armor, she'd told me with a wink. The car ride to the law office was quiet. James glanced at me a few times, probably thinking I was nervous. He patted my knee, pretending to be comforting. Just follow my lead, he said, let me do the talking. The law office was on the top floor of a tall building downtown. As we stepped off the elevator, James straightened up, slipping into his usual confident act. He had no idea what was coming. Mr. and Mrs. Preston, the receptionist said with a polite smile, they're ready for you in the conference room. James walked ahead, looking proud, but when he saw who was waiting inside, he stopped. Instead of just the estate lawyer, the table was filled with people: Sarah Chin, my financial advisor; Marcus Wong, my personal lawyer; and Catherine Morrison, the senior partner of the firm. What's this? James said sharply. I thought this was just a signing. Please sit down, Catherine said calmly. We have important things to discuss. I sat at the head of the table, not next to James, where he expected me to be. His face tightened as he sat down. Catherine opened a folder. Mrs. Preston has asked us to review some serious concerns about your recent attempts to gain control of her inheritance. James turned to me, frowning. Emily, what is this? I'll explain, I said. My heart was pounding, but I kept my voice calm. I know everything, James. The phone calls to your lawyers, trying to take over my money before my grandmother even passed. Your plans to make me seem incapable of managing it, and those secret offshore accounts. His face went pale for a second, then he tried to play it off. That's nonsense. I was just trying to protect our future. Sarah slid a document toward him. Is that why you were asking how to move all her money into accounts only you could control? James's jaw tightened. Emily, you're getting this all wrong. I understand perfectly, I said, pulling out my phone. Let's hear what you said. I played a recording of his voice. Yes, everything's going as planned. She'll sign the papers this week. No, she has no idea. Trust me, I know how to handle my wife. James froze as the words echoed through the room. That's not what I meant, he stammered, but his face showed panic. Catherine leaned in. Mr. Preston, we have clear proof you tried to take control of your wife's inheritance illegally. Do you want to respond? James turned to me in anger. You don't know what you're doing. You need me, you always have. I looked him in the eye. No, James, I don't need you. I just needed to finally see you clearly. Marcus, my lawyer, spoke up. Mrs. Preston has already protected her inheritance with a trust that you can't touch. He slid more papers toward James. These are divorce papers. James stared at them, furious. Divorce? After everything I've done for you? Everything you've done to me, I said. The control, the criticism, the way you made me doubt myself. It ends now. You won't last a day without me, he shouted. You're nothing without me. I stood, placing my hands on the table. You're wrong. I'm stronger than you ever gave me credit for. My grandmother raised me better than this. Sarah added. Mrs. Preston has done an excellent job managing her money. In fact, she's grown her inheritance by 15% over the past 6 months. James's head whipped toward me. 6 months? You've been planning this that long? I smiled slightly. Actually, it started years ago. My grandmother knew who you really were. Every lunch and shopping trip, she was preparing me for this day. Catherine pulled out more documents. Mr. Preston, based on your actions, we're ready to press charges unless you agree to the divorce terms. James scanned the papers, his face turning red. You expect me to walk away with nothing? Not nothing, I said. You get to keep what's yours, but my inheritance stays with me. This is insane, he muttered, running his hand through his hair. You're all crazy. No, I said, for the first time in years, I'm thinking clearly. You have until the end of the week to sign, or face charges. It's your choice. He stood up fast, his chair scraping loudly. "You'll regret this," he said before storming out. When the door closed, I felt lighter, like years of weight had finally lifted. "Are you okay, Mrs. Preston?" Catherine asked. I nodded. "Yes, I really am." The weeks after that flew by. James signed the papers, he moved out, taking only what was his. I heard he told people I'd lost my mind, but his words didn't control me anymore. Sarah and I worked together to grow my finances. I proved that I didn't just inherit wealth, I could handle it wisely, too. My grandmother's gift was more than money. It was freedom. It was my voice. It was a new beginning. One night, I found an old photo album. Inside was a wedding photo, James and me, smiling, but what caught my eye was my grandmother in the background, watching. Her expression said everything. She knew. She'd given me more than an inheritance. She'd given me strength. I walked into my home office, once James's space, now mine. On the wall hung a photo of my grandmother and me. Her eyes still sparkled with the same quiet power. "Thank you," I whispered. My phone buzzed. A message from Sarah about a new investment opportunity. I smiled. James thought I couldn't survive without him. But here I was, not just surviving, thriving, living on my own terms, stronger than ever. And finally, free.